What's that strange music?
I have no idea. But it seems to be coming from behind the bookcase.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So I'm here to talk again about Spring Me a Melody. Spring Me a Melody. It's a season-long event that I'm inventing, and that season is spring. So from March the 20th to June the 21st. So a nice chunky bit of time. I'm calling on all you people to read something. It could be a short story, could be poems, could be a novel, could be a series of novels that connect to music or songs, sound. Yeah, I think it's quite a lovely idea. I did a similar event last year, but I'm changing it to like where it is in the calendar and how long it spans. But a few people did it last year, which was great. And I've already had some comments where people have got some ideas, which is really cool. I'm going to go through 16 books as suggestions, and there's some fiction in there, and there's some non-fiction in there. Some of them are books I've talked about before when I did it last year, but some of them aren't. And yeah, just some ideas that might make you think, oh, actually, I could read blah, 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 which is kind of similar, or it might be specific things that you might go, oh, I was going to read that. But, you know, just some ideas. Spring Me a Melody, March the 20th to June the 21st. So we're already in spring. Yay! But we've obviously got a while to go. So I can do this, and I can probably do another video later as well with suggestions. But this is a nice one to do because it's right at the beginning of the event. And I'll start now. So, the first one to mention is kind of an obvious one. But I haven't read this yet, so I'm going to read this now. Daisy Jones and the Six. So a lot of people think of this when they did the song tag. They thought of this, you know, because one of the prompts was a book that relates to music, and lots of people mentioned Daisy Jones and the Six. Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is a huge success, and I'm deliberately not watching the program because I want to read it first. So there we go. Daisy Jones and the Six. You guys might have read that already. Tell me what you think of it. But that's a suggestion. More fiction. So I did find this recently, a crime novel by Robert Silverberg. So the fact it's a crime novel by Robert Silverberg made me go, ooh, interesting. But it's about a jazz clarinetist, so that's pretty cool. I'll be reading that. I think I will definitely be reading that. I'm likely to read Daisy Jones and the Six as well. So these first two are real likely ones for me. But anyway, there's more suggestions coming out here. So there's I've been meaning to read James Baldwin, and this again is about a jazz musician, another country, and this was going to be my first James Baldwin proper novel. So I read one called I Am Not Your Negro, which is kind of selections of his writing, which was good. It was a nice taster, but I want to read a proper book by him, so I've got about 4 up there. But this is likely to be the first one, another country. So yeah, it fits in with the event quite well. So James Baldwin. This is the book that I mentioned in the song tag when I talked about a book that is linked to music or songs. A Song for a New Day. This is a really good book by Sarah Pinsker. So this was at the time it was her first full novel. She'd done a book of short stories. I think she's done a second novel now. But this is really good. I really liked it. And it really gives you that sense of how important live performing is to musicians. So it's a kind of a dystopian kind of feel to it because they've banned social gatherings. They've banned people being together in large numbers publicly, and therefore they've banned live music as well. So there's a musician trying to keep that alive. So yeah. Definitely related to it from a musician's point of view when I was reading it. But yeah, I just think it's really good. So, Song for a New Day. This is one that I've done, like that one, I've done a separate review of this because this really did blow me away, this book. I really loved it. This isn't the sort of book I would normally read. It's kind of very much a character kind of slice of life / light mystery kind of book. But it was sent to me by a friend of mine. I'll always be grateful for this. It was such a lovely thing to do. He just randomly sent me this, saying, with a little note saying, "I think you'll love this book," and I really did. It's about a washed-up rock musician in one part of the story, but in the other part of the story is like two stories that kind of converge at the end, and in the other part of the story, these kids that find this house and stay there because they're runaways. But the rock musician part of it is kind of half of the story. So it's a really good book about people, about relationships, about heartbreak, about low self-esteem, about found family. It's beautifully written. It's really good. Cassandra Parkin, first time I'd read anything by her, but it's just such a good book. The Summer We All Ran Away. And if you like, you could read something that isn't necessarily got music and songs in the narrative, but it's written by a musician. So this is a book written by Steve Earle. So I still haven't read this. This was one I talked about last August. I need to read this. So I am a fan of Steve Earle. I like his stuff a lot. And when I saw this, I was like, oh, I didn't know he'd written something. So I got it, and I'm very intrigued. So you could do that. If it's something that someone's written, then you could go with that. Likewise, Annie DeFranco, who I'm a big fan of, she did a book of poetry. She wrote a memoir as well, which is really good. But this is a book of her poetry, so this is fiction written by her, and this is really good. It's got some lyrics in it as well, but a lot of it's poetry. And even people like Harlan Ellison has written stories based around music. So this is literally about a rock musician. So the title in America, which I guess it might be the official original title, is Rockabilly, but I've always known it as Spider Kiss, and this is a very special book to me. And who knows, maybe I'll read this again in the spring. I know David Wiley mentioned that you might read it for this event, so if you're watching, David, read Spider Kiss. So Harlan Ellison, Harlan Ellison's written all sorts of different things. He's known for science fiction, but he doesn't like being called a science fiction writer because he much prefers being called, what does he like being called? Well, the writer, I guess. I don't even think he likes the speculative fiction idea. But anyway, he doesn't like anything. He moans a lot. But this is a really good book. It's Harlan Ellison. So then another, before I get into the non-fiction, a Stephen King book, which has got music at the centre of it, is Revival. And this is supposed to be one of his really good ones as well. So this is one I still haven't read. I've got tons and tons of his books and read a fair amount of his books. I think I've read about 22, 23 books or something by him. So, I've read quite a lot of his books, but I've got double that in my possession at least. But this is one I haven't read, and this is supposed to be a really good one. So I will be reading Revival. Well, soon. Maybe I'll read it in this summer, but this is definitely an option. If you're into Stephen King and you've got that in your collection, you could read that for the event. I think Stephen King's one of those people, you get them, you go, oh, it's only a couple of quid, I'll get this. And you don't always get to read them straight away. So there's some non-fiction. So I've bought this at the library. I've got this at the library. Suzi Quatro. Anyone a Suzi Quatro fan? That's what she looks like now. But this is her autobiography. It's got a lovely quote on the back from is it the back or the front? On the front, by Noddy Holder from Slade. He says, Susie, don't ever write a book because you remember everything. So this could have some stories in it. So Suzi Quatro, Unzipped. So I am intrigued by that one. I got that at the library because I wanted to read it. There's a lovely book about Joni Mitchell that I've had for a while, and I massively love Joni Mitchell, so I definitely want to read that. I also got out of the library today a book about Ray Charles. And this is actually written with Ray Charles, so this is kind of an autobiography, but he's written with someone else. Where is it? He's written it with someone else. It might be like an interview style. It might be like that. But it's definitely more of an autobiography than a biography. So this looks really good. So there was a few books about Ray Charles in the library. We've got a massive library. It's really good, actually. But this was one I picked because I was intrigued. So there's Ray Charles there. I bought this recently, and I'd like to read it, the Paul Simon Companion. And I think it's Omnibus Press, isn't it? Yeah, Omnibus Press books are really good. So their music books are really good. So I'm going to read that. I probably will read that like in the next little while. And I've had this a while, and I don't know why I haven't read it yet, because he is literally one of my heroes. John Mellencamp is one of my all-time heroes, so I need to read this. So yeah, I'm going to read this. I can probably read this month, I think. So yeah, I'm going to get stuck into this soon. So there's John Mellencamp. And then before I just pick this last one, I just want to mention this one. And you can just take a book about a style of music, about a genre, or about a particular tradition. So this is the Jewish tradition, klezmer, and I'm a huge fan of klezmer music, and this is a really nice, proper academic deep dive into the music. So I mean, a cappella books do these really good academic music books. It was quite a find, and I actually bought this in America. Look, so yeah, I think I bought this in the last bookshop, the last bookstore. I'll tell you what, I'm gutted. Right, I'm just telling you this. This is not interesting, but I bought the T-shirt with the it's like a zombie with a LA, like does like his fingers as if it's LA. It's just like hands that spell out LA. The last bookshop, and I was so pleased to have it. It was a really big deal going to the last bookshop in LA when we went there. No idea where this T-shirt is. It's just disappeared. Didn't have it for that long. I'm absolutely gutted. So I don't know why. But anyway, I bought that as one of the great things I bought in LA. I also bought a really good biography of Spike Jonze that's in the loft. That's another one you could look at as well. So yeah, that's good. And then one last one, which might whet your appetite, is I recommend this hugely. So this is a book by Ian MacDonald called Revolution in the Head, and it's every single Beatles record analysed as far as how they recorded it, who wrote it, how it sort of worked in the studio, who played what, and all those kind of things. Like, it breaks down every single track. It's really cool. So it does it in order as well. So you've got all the details about the recording. So if you're interested in that, it's like a reference book. I think I'm gonna dip into this again through the spring, because I really do like this book, and it's quite a nice thing to dip into and kind of revise in your head. So there we are, a bunch of books that might have made you think of some equivalent books you might have, or you might want to get some of those, I don't know. But there's all sorts of different things, some really famous authors, some more obscure authors, some musicians that are authors, some non-fiction stuff. So yeah, spring me a melody. Be great if you could join in. If you do join in, then let me know what you're reading in the comments below. And if you're a booktuber, talk about it on your channel, and let's get this thing on the go. Thanks a lot. Anyway, I'm gonna go now. Bye.